Namo Guru Be Namo Bedaya Namo Dharma Namo Sangaya Namo Guru Be Namo Bedaya Namo Dharma Namo Sangaya Kande Alai Gwen Do Gan Raga Joza Onde Joze Shöge Yabo Gwenje Alo Sanja Sedan Jeba Neo de Oceanso Deo Namba Sean Deo Chebe Alaima Chebe Azongache Alo Debe Soyona Jinjoto Demba Jeje Kaya Jozo Sheje Chebe Jave Alo Jozo Gezanave Genjo Le Cheson Chabe Beje Lame Anzebe Tode Ojebe Tode Ala Chase Yewo Sheye Nazo Meandota Jeje Andobe Anase So cha do mi nga yang pa me na ngo so gu ra da ne se de ma do me no de ma jo ta zo ji ne sa be ge wa de tian da ro wa ge la kan pe da che ba lo sa cha ba ye te be ni bo re do sa je jo me me se ve te je re se che me ye wang bo zhang be yang ye wo ma le zhuan zi sang wei dang kan jin ke be zuo jin zong kai ba lo sang chang be xia la so wa de me me se ve de la che re se che me che be wang bo zhang be de wo ma le zhuan zi sang wei dang kan jin ke be zuo jin zong kai ba lo sang chang be xia la so wa de me me se ve de la che re se che me che be wang bo zhang be ye wo ma le zhuan zi sang wei dang kan jin ke be zuo jin zong kai ba lo sang chang be xia la so pa de sang wei la ma re bo je a zo je wo ra de me de jo la a je je be o ne che so de o so to se do so pa de za ve la ma re bo che ta zo ni go ro de me de jo la ka de che be o ne che so de cho don de mo wo zhuo ze dong pa de za ve la ma re bo che ta zo jin ga ra be me de shu la ka de che be Let us cultivate the bodhicitta motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of motivation, we should participate in this Lamrim teaching on the stages of the path leading to enlightenment by Manjushri Lama Tsongkhapa. I'm going to read about page 2 from this Lamrim text to give you the blessing of oral transmission, first followed by example. Page 122, volume number 2 in the English translation.
Lo bo re pa dong bo da la ve xin zhen ba zhe de ju bo dong ming ji be ji ba ni je bo de xing lo zo be ba mi ji bo dong sing ge da da de dong ji lo zo ba me ma ve ji bo dong che dong me lo so ba ju wen ji ba le sing je yong so jiao ba wo sang sing ge ji ba le ni sang sing wo so dong ye ji ba dong sang ba zang ji bo dong bo lo sang sing dong zhe dong ye 东乡我说东面做东王忙的那些的，这我就不金别客气，你不等我当不了些，看了东面现在看个东面上不现在东面叫我看东面我当不你觉得人老偏多比这些东女些比周当偏。 你看呀，没这他们不到这周老说表演的，就学习老说比，中间当上来，马娃当上的娘把当上来了，把人交心的金包当都金碰包当三包都是三包了你三碰包。三八了年了，三八七得不得不贵不点吧贵吧，那边点了点了，那边小手些错。 今别把你做吧，叫娘吧，过吧了没吧等，他们那上就身边，多吧他们这个事情了，当身边叫两把，到这当去，让个这样心情的娘吧，我不老没不吧等，弄他们心弄了问题到，那个这边把你做吧去，别那个心，因为心情说你们行。 娘把行了没把的，行了没把的上班，行了没把的上班送到对吧？贵的，跑进对吧？弄的我那Geshe的做别上手做那别，提醒们的些大了，现在什么给新年，给新年的给新年的些得了Geshe说，我不知道了。 国外的地现在到这我娘别国外了呀，没别什么也不了呢。拉上去吧，等把你对吧？那些我叫我这些别行了，我是没什么的，他们去了下过别，这也上班也了，上班去上班，你们那把下班的前边什么东都我了吧？你这上班是用的这了，个月上班。 陪到我那了，当也这上不下人，基本上我心能了，什么也不差关系。基本当也给这个样，老不老所谓什么老当他接不了这个东西，行老做这的都这边，今个生了当这我女的女面的大了，娘把什娘把什么别动。 今天金包包来到这边金当金别这一个这个多年了东西刚是那面天呢他们把弄起，七八道也得他也对吧来讲可惜叫们当帮包这边三天都那样这面这边这边女的有的当天做了啊。 上那天你们金把鞋将弄到了，从龙巴从所鞋天里去你们土就弄了金把鞋拉修，鞋说什么去找帮把过把了，那个当年说的这边上把没把你们金把来就没多年吧。 你这金别去说叫娘把当给人当这些东西了，这金包当金包肉包怎么金几天没当几天的？像这人就说娘你们金包我是肯别上包没把那老包了，你包当现在你两这包当现在讲。 当年东伯把人家现在们那些老是说没什么我理解这把能把它到边多里讲， so jin ji ba tong ye ze sen na jin na lo me de ba xie jing ti jing kong zhuo jian ne nie wan zhui jin ba zhe ba song ba dang se zhe men song ye ze yong su ji la me ni ma yi ji wu mong bu me de ba xie jing ji ma de ba di ni zhuo dong wan dang so la ne de da ge me de zhou lo ne ba明个吧，这边吃的，在这边老少不这把我些多，真的有点讨厌吧，对吧？你用啊，到夏天，确实推到路这些才能到的，忙在老照顾用的上线那么讲呢。主要的上线能讲呢，通不了，过完就是用的错了。你这个你就说你就穷，你就把你把穷送我些吧，到时候咱提许这么的噻，咱去这样做可是啥，金把当的那东西不要的过这些，咱这我提个嘛子啊，你真的，他提到金把可能给要写的来多呢，我提这些，他的要的可是是呢。送来是全一嘛，你特别去亲戚嘛了，当把了是当把的说了说吧，今天年纪看那么多，没吧，老把日把当把当，那边现在就有把握，是这里他看见，全一嘛是的，那特别去亲戚嘛了，他是看现些东西这些，对面那边没找不着的了，别他就没兴的呢。今天瞧别看那么多，你把明个说别错主要个，你雷动就老呀要，这现在也不要这些，我这雷动烂起来的，学习不搞这个事儿哇，我提醒，我提的是，听那边现在进去我是老把大个人帮助，别讲着多么给你多么是要这个多么是，说人民老呀要啊，我提这个看见个人帮助给你，娱乐帮别人的那个效果的是。
So Geshe read from page 122 to page 125 to give us the blessing of oral transmission of Lamrim. And back to page 122, in the middle of the page, you find a caption that reads, Divisions of Actual Generosity. So as we talked about this before, generosity or giving, jinba, dan, is defined in terms of wish to give or the mind to give. Yeah, so we need to cultivate the mind to give. So now if we ask what are the different types of giving that we could engage in or generosity, three types of giving are mentioned. The first one is giving what called the gift of Dharma or teaching. And what that really means is, of course, giving spiritual discourses or teaching. So that is the gift of Dharma. But it also means that those people who are in need of, let's say, resources, basic resources, and if you could share words of advice, with them, how to, maybe accumulate resources without involving any negativity, right? If you can teach them some skills, so that they can support their life, and those skills do not involve any kind of negativity. So that kind of sharing or advice is also considered as a part of the gift of giving Dharma. Okay.
没买没结巴的，去的买了说本永远结巴那里，心情又是叫把我的他可是没结结巴晒的，他可是结不成了说我的的，那健身个结巴些，那去的买说，看见他个都看结巴说，感觉开始啥个样呢？我听结巴的了呀，叫呀他就写的了，那没结巴晒的是。
And there's something left from the previous explanation with regard to the gift of giving, teaching of the Dharma. If we can also, how should I say, encourage and inspire others to, commit to any kind of precept or commitment or vow, that they could handle it. Like it means maybe the precepts of going for refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, or like because there's all kinds of precepts, what we call the precepts dealing with individual emancipation, precepts dealing with bodhisattvas and so forth. So depending upon their interest and ability, what suits them, and if we could even inspire, help them to take those precepts, that's also part of giving the gift of Dharma or the teaching. Now the next one is the giving fearlessness, the gift of giving fearlessness or protection, in other words. And so here the mention of how if somebody feels sense of insecurity or fear because of some authority figures in ancient times, more like a king, who is going to order some punishment, and if we could provide safety for them, that is the gift of giving a fearlessness. Or people whose life is endangered by the wild beast or something, if we can protect their life, that's a gift of giving fearlessness. Or that for any kind of disasters, like disasters brought by the natural calamities, like the water, which is really like basically tsunamis and tornadoes, right? In today's translation, or the destruction by wildfires. My first footnote that we should know in California. So protecting lives from such dangers is also the gift, giving the gift of fearlessness.
지다 상승의 진발이 상승으로 던 진발도 삼바던 진발로 통보로 숨 상승동 최당 상승 동의 최당 동의 민는 지다셔와 인백이 인연보 때뭐 통보의 시스타데 사제로부터 될도 그래서 상승 진발이 상승 무슨 동아시 삼바던 진발이 다른 동아들 상승 컨테 동동직시 네 동아 만유나니 가르치고 다 지직시 예배 얘기는 그 세나르에는 될 예모를 갖는 거です. 다 사지 싫으시야.
So at the bottom of page 122, you find the third type of giving is called giving material gifts or resources, giving gift resources. And so that has explained under two main subpoints. Subpoint number one is the generosity of actually giving material things. So that's the actual giving of the material things. And the second major subpoint is, in case you couldn't give it, then it involves the mind training, the generosity, which is just mental. And now the first major subpoint has three sub-subpoints. The first one is how to give away material things. The second one is, if we are unable to do that, give away material things, then what can we do? And the third one is relying on the remedies for the hindrances to generosity, meaning that what really prevents us from practicing generosity, for example, is stinginess or miserliness. So how can we counteract stinginess or miserliness? So those are the three subpoints.
네, 다 당보다 유의될 강동의 행 동사들 강것들은 삼바제다. 삼바가 다 지다동의 좋아지 건디 솜디시. 콜솜데도 강동의 제 ngo보시 뒤솜시 다디는 당보다 행될 주 동의 유의될 주. 샤거스. 어디 가서 주셔야 돼. 가서 지다신은 다 지마 설동은 이렇게 주스 믹스해야 샤고 스미 탐제를 그 동거지나 에네 심제도 답에는 일 지바동은 되자데 돼야죠. 에네 때스 마가스도 지바동도 코도 돼야죠. 되게 카도 그게 토알에 에네 딘심도 마 예지되고 되게 카도 동안 카도 상박 그게 전소동에 동달에 주 샤브레스.
So we are on page 123. So going back to the first sub-point, which is how to give away material things. And this involves paying attention to four sub-points, okay, how organized we are here in the Lamrim. And the first one is we have to think about the recipients of giving, who received the gifts, in other words. The second one is with what motivation do we engage in giving, motivational factor. And then the third one is how to actually give. And the fourth one is what do we have to give. So those are the four things. Now the first one is the gift receivers or the recipients of a gift, if you will. 10 different types of recipients are listed here, right? Of course, generally speaking, anybody who is really in need of the material gift constitute, in some sense, a gift receiver or recipient of a gift. In other words, all sentient beings, deserve to be the recipients of a gift. But that being said, why do we talk about 10 of them here? Why we have the list of 10? This is because, from the point of view of our mental orientation and the training we need. For example, there's a mention of our friends and relatives as recipients of the gift, right, receivers. Now, what mental orientation usually we have is maybe we just give them gifts out of attachment, So we really have to be aware of that, how the attachment, can creep into gift giving to our friends and relatives, or the people we, who are, we don't like them. Maybe we call them enemies or not, doesn't matter. But sometimes we might give them, but out of hostility or, sense of revenge or something. So then we have to really pay attention to that mental orientation. Or then the people who are doing much better than us, sometimes maybe we need to give gifts to them, but then it could be out of a sense of, jealousy or something, And people who are doing less than us, we might give gifts, but with a sense of belittling or something. So those mental orientations, negative, are not proper, and so we need to pay attention to them. So from that kind of a perspective, we talk about 10 recipients of a gift.
Oh, there, that is a wrong pen of Zashi dance. That Zashi wrong pen of Zashi, so you don't do something, there's a Yinga, there's a Monday. Never see with Joe the city because the hotel get don't because they control the engineer or teach it. That pen the kind of music be Tamable, Sedula Cursa, Tamebata, Pendo kind of maybe any Tamebata, the big same hotel, the Chogri Mel, the Kajata, young big don't race. Sedum Shell, Sedum Lasso be yonder, that yonder to the la. It be quicker than they were good deduction. Pure to send what is it? Show race. Sujela so was the Sujela, that Sujation solution, John General. Tell a big solution as the young of the Merabag Bagate, the magician, call it the better marriage, call it nearly no more race. Solution, John General, Ronley Moa, to the Ronla Moa, the Danzusia, Namzusia, Military Namzusi, was a Namzusi, Maris, Namzusia. That round the Yamba dance the round Yamba and Jensum Mare, Jensusi Maris. That round Havala and Joy Giver, Dojin Pumbo, sir. That round the Yamba and Jensusi, round Lavala, Tagdosia, the Tagdosia. Joy Giver, Dojin Pumbo was done. Jova Givo Yungish in the dogs Pungache. That Jova Yungi tell that was about the big secret that you don't do. Dogs Punga in the quality about the Ninja same with Lakba Ninja, don't Ninja go longer at the Hazard over to the Lakba Ninja and it was in the tongue. I say, that Robert is not the shall go at he what else.
Jorba the channel.
La
Jorba channel.
Devakwala.
Jorba chen.
Jorba is not Jidu Pedro Yungesiro. Jorba Yunget, the Gibo Yuna. Young Kono, some do that called the Jaguar, the almost young people who seem Mira de Jayarwa. But dear Jim, she said that. That or Jobo, the Lakbar, the Ninja on the table, who was the Jojo.
So we are in the middle of page 123, the recipients of giving. So first recipients mentioned are friends and relatives. And as I mentioned earlier, if we are practicing giving a gift or generosity, in relation to them, we should really check our mind that we are not doing this out of attachment and clinging attitude. That's very important because that's what usually is likely to arise in our minds. The second one is the enemies who harm us. And this is like in case we have opportunity to, I think maybe that's understanding, giving gift to them. I mean, we should see that we are not doing this out of hostility or anger or sense of revenge or anything like that, and to check with our state of mind. The third one is ordinary people who neither harm nor help you. In other words, almost like strangers, right? Who are neither our friends nor our enemies. So when we make gifts to them, practice generosity, we should see that we are not doing this out of indifferent attitude. So that's important. And then the fourth one is those with good qualities such as ethical discipline. So those who are maybe have these benevolent qualities, if we are practicing generosity in regards to them, we should see that we honor them, we respect them, that's due to them. The fifth one is those with flaws such as faulty ethical discipline. If we are practicing generosity with regard to those who have broken commitments or the vows or all of those things, so there's a danger that we might look down upon them, right? As we are practicing, so we must not do that. Yeah, maybe they have broken their commitments or whatever, but it's not our business, so to speak, to talk about that or to put them down. So we have to look at our attitude. Number 6 is those inferior to us. So when we are practicing generosity in regard to those who are inferior to us in whatever ways, we should see that we are not, again, belittling them, we are not being condescending, and we are not, putting them down. Number 7, those equal to us. This is there is a possibility that sense of what we call densim, competitiveness, might arise with regard to those who are our equals. So we should check with that kind of attitude in our attitude. Number 8, those superior to you. So those superior to us, maybe there's a possibility that we might, become jealous of them, and so we have to look at our jealousy mind so that it is not contaminating our practice of generosity. Number 9, the rich and happy, those who are really, looks like from our point of view, they don't need anything, right? So sometimes we might ignore them, right? That's like, well, what do they need from me? What can I do, right? So we must not have that kind of attitude, as if they don't, count or something. Number 10, the miserable and destitute. Of course, oftentimes we give out of a sense of compassion and caring attitude heart, but this is more so. We have to perhaps, generate a stronger sense of compassion as we practice generosity with regard to those who have, misery and who are destitute. So because of those, different mental attitudes that might pop up in our mind as we are practicing generosity with regard to different people, so 10 types of recipients are mentioned here.
당본의 정주심배에서 노바탐지 심진라 땅심배 땅심배 교알렘바따르 땅샤에 랑제라 신기노 냥바스 ngobalmebatam sitere da chedo the 300년 다 但他教育的东西第二嘛，三百倍速度旅路就刚刚是不是东西别差异，这眼先把我就差的是。现在东西告诉了，那日本都是这样，你可能是别个注销吧，把两本东西没就，所以别个啥都这样吧，天天俺也都学习好嘛，是不是？我听了呀，天天开始啥，开始啥就了。就两把，但是当然些这了是现行的是一百把，但是弄到没弄完，行囊了是。得到大个级别跑进做把是些位，是大个几位行就是两百，行了没的是三把送的两把贵的是，我这大些的日本东亚的，别个俺让别个上线视频在这都是视频上线我们都要同大了呀，那错是这样个行了那没吧。我天天去爬几把东西，我是没不起，手手同大一本那些，那边三把这个是我错吧，是不是当时可是错吧些呗，那个月些你两把，说两把了，行了没把的是，三把那两把贵的是，我听得到，现在行这几把都要知道不给，说马嘎些着的，我对他就。这是咱俩看中当个这个就没搞下来了，这个是话，咱搞不完的，东个东西都写的，咱别要不修熊是，俺做这样别，那别，这样子让他们熊松说，你这搞不完当我就说。
So we're still on page 123. So we just talked briefly about the 10 recipients of our gift giving. And so the second subpoint is with what motivation do we give, right? So the motivational factor. And as it is mentioned there, our whole motivation or the purpose behind the practice of generosity of giving is to be able to be enlightened for the sake of everybody else, right? That's our final goal or the reason why we engage in the practice of generosity, or for that matter, any other practice. And so being mindful of that purpose or the motivation, and as we engage in the actual gift giving, we should remind ourselves that this is how the Bodhisattvas do. They have dedicated everything they have for the benefit of sentient beings, right? Whatever they have. So mentally, they are very prepared, right? They have already cultivated the mind to give. So everything I have belongs to sentient beings. This is how they have dedicated everything to and for sentient beings. And because of that, so when we are actually giving, there is no sense of ego involvement here, right? There's no sense of ownership, like, oh, I'm giving something to you that really is mine. Actually, I'm giving it to you. Right? There's no such thing, because it is as if when we have dedicated everything for others, what we are doing here is basically we are returning the things that belong to them in some sense, isn't it? That's kind of attitude, right? Well, I'm giving the things that actually are dedicated for you. It really belongs to you. So there's no sense of like, I'm favoring you, like, look at me, I'm kind of a cool guy here. No, nothing like that. Well, it doesn't say cool in the Lamrim, of course, but... And also, we should be really thankful to the sentient beings, because as if they have provided us this beautiful conditioning factor that we could practice generosity, And because we know that we need to accumulate merit, to be enlightened for them, and this is a great opportunity to create positive energy or the merit. So it is as if we have to be thankful to them, grateful to them, like, wow, you are really like my real teachers, who provided me this opportunity to accumulate merit and for enlightenment.
Gewe xinyin, xinyin karsa, gewe xinyin dixi dela jie sos, ta koji dere xa karsa. Yesi za shangshu sama dirwa da, luwa bungwa zane yesi sama kare tanga, ta yagu shu shu zobe shangshu so zosa risam, gabo xeni. In simchen dixi bi karsa, so soya bi, so soya so zoya ki karsa, ta 见着个被呀下呢，你下行， Gyeltsen 신이 있다고. Gyeltsen 신이 있으나 저다 Gyeltsen 신이 있으나 다 최 소위 줄 비게 난가 연대 팽이 람동을 Gyeltsen 신이 있다. 들라다 최 누구여다 Gyeltsen 신이 있다. 소도야 직보셔고로. 어디 뒤에 샤고 그랬어. 어디 있어요?
Yes. So at the bottom of page 123, we have a passage quoted from a great Indian master, Ashwaghosh's compendium of the perfections, to substantiate the point just actually made, which is when a Bodhisattva sees someone asking for a gift, right? And a Bodhisattva really reminds themselves of this kind of attitude. It's great. They're very happy that somebody is asking them to give something to them because this provides them the opportunity to create merit, for enlightenment. And so they see this person as if it were their teacher, right? Usually when you think of a teacher, is someone, the spiritual teachers are more like who really inspires us and who helps us to generate positive state of mind, attitude, right? So this is as if the one who is asking for the gift is really conditioning in your mind to generate this positive, right? The mind to give, which is a positive quality, right? So it's from that angle, we can call this person my teacher because he or she is inspiring me to generate this positive mindset.
어제 거기에서 뭐부터 동안에 거바들 디치 땅샤오 냠비 거발라 미비 사바제는 라상 쉬바당 스파진 되발 쉬바셔 되는 것도 다 거기 카드 때데 카드고 지막 다 깝까 카드 파서 근데 땅이 안 됐던 거였어. 애들 거바 디레스 땅 거였어. 유인 디레스 땅 거였어. 비게 텐시되니 레레칸데 돈주 요래 데 라상도 당 파진 되발 도시 대시바 시스고다 데데 미세야 세시면도
So on top of page 124, it is said that we can learn more about the gift giving from sources like the quotations of Subahu Sutra and the compendium of the perfections. In other words, when Bodhisattvas engage in giving, they master mindfulness introspection, right? And so they're very much aware of why they're giving the gift, the purpose, the reason behind that, and with what motivation they're giving, and what are they actually giving, and who is receiving it. So they're very much mindful of, right, all these things happening, and they're very introspective of what's going inside their mind as they're doing the gift giving.
사바시다바는 다들 가르치면서 당기들이 와서 정식 소소야시 인도 소소소 상여토야게 차진시 근데 그 편도 계획이 있다고 디시한 디 섬샤고야디 지바 가르다는 직발에서 걸어 다 지바 카드거도서 또는데 다 당기도 용거다 사바시다바 네바시발레 샴베셈다 소데다 네바싱게데 다도들이나 그 텔레콘로게 인가로 어떻게 락버 창박금 동고래 싫어와 연대제를 가에 삼았던 연대제인데 어디에는 텔레야 꾸디 삼아 가에 삼아 동고래 펜도 받나 땅님께 삼바 현지점을 잡아서 펜도 바로 다 소소 디데가 현체바제 가면은 소소 펜도에나 텔레야 엔 차가당 로 말레시네 그래와 디시다 인사들와 유티 삼베 동고래
So we're still on top of page 124. So any kind of a gift-giving situation, we should remind ourselves of the altruistic purpose, the reason behind gift giving, right? Our whole purpose of giving gift is to accumulate merit so that we can be enlightened for the sake of all other sentient beings. And for that, we do need to accumulate merit, and here is a great opportunity to do that. And so that kind of mindset goes with any kind of practice of generosity in general. But then in some specific cases, we might also have to think about some particular things. For example, if we have an opportunity to give gift giving to those who have been harmful to us, then our focus more has to generate love for them. Because, without love, probably our mind is dominated by anger and hostility, right? We just kind of hate and dislike them. That's not good part. So we have to maybe pay more attention to cultivating love, right? towards and for them. So that could be a particular case we have to pay attention to. And those who have what we call positive qualities, yundenchen, good qualities, we should do so with a sense of respect and honoring them. Otherwise sometimes we might how should I say, I don't know, compete with them or sense of something like that. And then those who have benefited us, when we give gift giving to them, a particular thing we need to pay attention is that we have this unbiased neutrality, because with regard to those who have benefited us, there is a risk for us to get attached to them, right? And because our attitude is what we call distorted imbalance, usually because we attach to those near and dear ones, and we hate those or dislike those who are harmed us, and then we are indifferent to those who are neither friends nor enemies. So we have to cultivate the sense of neutrality or unbiased attitude as we are giving gift to those who have benefited us.
어디 희능은 심령바 샤고 희능 집바탕에 계획되고요. 노벌 소비 심진로 동안의 체벌의 능력이 힘을 저와 샤디스 그래서 데려도 희능 다 거던 시변다 자기 봐서 조시나 어디 심령바 샤고 그래서 집바탕에 계획되고요. 노벌다 노벌 소비도 무슨 노이나다 시대 말로면 저거 있는 가르치는 말로나나 제고 거라. 노벌 소비 심진로 동화당 체벌의 능력이 힘을 저와 샤디스 셔도 체벌도比심진 냠다 근데 내도 동서 뭐도 다 거기 소요 봉고도 호텔에 당도 배 사업들 좀 쉬고 그랬어 그랬어. 뒤에 다와자고 진간 센터 제와 내미 대다라 냠바 신유배 동이 진디 집어 볼레 다这件变的，你讲我这个同年了，都是人家是那么，真的他们那么的，是，但是把东的东啊，这把个，毕竟忙不了的，但这里说是是那么吧，你手里面吧，可是看到这个退休的刚刚上当上呢，人家就把少的就话这是不是的？
So on page 124, it is mentioned that we need to cultivate impartiality or unbiased neutral attitude as we give gift giving to those who have benefited us or who have been nice to us. But we should pay particular attention to those who are truly needy. Right? Gift giving can be done if somebody asks for help or asks for something, or even those who don't ask for help, for whatever reasons. If we do see that they have a real need, then we should provide the necessity. So it does not base upon really somebody actually asking you for gift. If you see there's a real necessity need, so we should practice the gift giving. So as is stated in the Chandrakirti's work, in the middle of page 124, it reads, once the giving is free from stinginess, the giver must compassionately make gifts which are given equally with an even-mindedness to those who are superior or inferior recipients. The results of such giving go to both self and other at the same time. Holy beings praise this gift giving without stinginess to those who seek gifts, unquote. So it's pretty clear there that when we are practicing generosity giving, we should see that stinginess is not preventing us, or it is contaminating our gift giving, right? And that's very important to check. And then we should give out of a sense of compassion, and we must not discriminate amongst the recipients of the gifts. Wow, these are the superior ones and these are inferior ones. We should maintain impartiality in our gift giving, so the giving that is free of miserliness or stinginess, And that is does not discriminate among the recipients. It's considered as very superior gift giving, and it's very much praised by the holy beings.
我这他这可是新疆把是脾气做的那，你的相当的没，这样有做的没的，的可是城市什么个金巴当，我都说就他们金巴七八千的人多，现在城市什么个，几张金巴现在我是希望都得行了，别个，哎，你看不到老公说的怕嘛的。你不切中个当个要是吧？我都来通过一呢，是吧？起码都你不切中要是吧？你不切中要的，哎，来通过这个老把严重这个的呢，这当大个应变吧，你就是其他要么是吧？我可能没这些的，你掏啥这个是伢呢，下叫是吧？我提，但我说来通过提醒我这是。但小日什么都听得大清嘛是，那米了热要嘛是吧？我这那米热现在行当个啥是吧？是那米热那行当个要嘛是吧？现在小日什么行嘛当现呢？你金巴当说清楚当被你不提热嘛，你不提啊，可能是怕我的，看见说的那个咋没有了现呢？现在是，我到底养当我这是，我提不得，这到底当你们的知道当你们的影响嘛的，我提了一下，行当面的。
So the impartiality that's mentioned here in the case of Bodhisattva gift giving is a very important factor. Perhaps that differentiates between our gift giving and Bodhisattva's gift giving. Us as ordinary beings, what generally seems to happen is we may engage in the practice of generosity or giving, but with certain expectation of return from it. So therefore, we are very choosy in some sense about who to give or make offerings to, right? So we might choose to make offerings to the gurus and the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, the higher up, because we have been taught that in that way you accumulate more merit, right? But if you give gifts to the downtrodden and the homeless one down there, yeah, you earn some merit, but it doesn't equal to making a gift to the guru or the Buddha, right? So then, therefore, our mind is somewhere not impartial, isn't it? So we realize, okay, I want to have, so to speak, like more return on my gift giving, right? Gift giving is like an investment here, right? So where is the better return? Well, Guru, Buddha, all that, right? Sangha. And then, if I give to the poor, and not much return. So we have some kind of, it's a conditional giving in some sense, isn't it? And we expect something in return. But Bodhisattva gift giving, they don't make that discrimination, because the Bodhisattvas do not seek any return for the gift giving. As a matter of fact, whatever good comes out of their giving, they even dedicate that, right, to and for sentient beings. You know what? I don't want anything from sentient beings. Should there be anything coming towards me, that too should go to the sentient beings, right? So they're very impartiality in terms of gift giving. So that's why holy beings and the Buddha's praise, they said, that's the way to go, the superior gift giving.
我这中国可是我这他们那边的工作同意啊，这不这个呢？一般到这这边这工作起码工作被没了这套呢，被农作人啊，这个你不来着啊，要着吧？你不要是他，你不看这社会呢，新车在当个着吧？新都在这你不在这里嘛着吧？城市是吧？过来说那边着吧？没有些，现在偏多看这上网上的呢，你这个新当个要么着？我底下我就这样的。
So our gift giving sometimes is preconditioned on many things, like we learn that, okay, I want to have a good rebirth in the next life, and then I want to have a lot of resources in my next life, and then I was taught that the generosity gives rise to the resources in the next life. So therefore, we might engage in gift giving with that motivation, right? And then we feel like, okay, so I want a lot of resources. So what's the better return on my gift giving? So then that's how we make all those distinctions among the recipients of the gifts, right? Oh, the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and the higher beings here, and then the lower beings there. And so that's how ours is kind of a conditional giving in a sense. Whereas Bodhisattvas do not have that kind of a sense. They just give, pure giving out of joy, and they don't expect anything in return. So it is unconditional gift giving.
我这个有的他也不对我来讲是的讲，可以叫我们的澎湃这位，上天通那样，证明这边这边女性用的他等等说啊，上那天的一百些也弄到了，从头开始，我这是在这里的话，可这是我的和尚。可以叫我们的澎湃这位上天通那样是一百多个，他没叫我出去，我给叫我去来说呢， And ko jowe nyang ta ba ha de ko gre ti sin ko hing me ba song da ko dan di wi sta ra ma ba ho de ko ma de she ni in hing tho sa le ya phu ko san in ko sa ba ti de chang de se wo wa de be nu xin yong de ta de den su wa se je ro wa da se da ko这没的，或者是英雄过来马来人家说了呀，你比如话有的，因为你不现在就车呢，他妈的些呢，你现在现在看到拉马旁边都得在那个是了吧？但上马的呢，一般些弄大的送出些，这里钱呢，投机弄那一般些了修，现在上马是的长大，那米的话些的，他小时候身边一般对说呢。any question that do job shago what is it wa jimba si long ta to song zo xie si mi da da ko jimba tang go de xin na ko any big na mi re wa de jimba tang yin na any ko khar chen de jimbe dribu de chen bu ya yo ma ko ya bo yo ma wa no xie da ko da long ba de song zo de long ba na dribu sa ne wa de ji ma wa de xin na ko ji da shang ri si be jimba de ne dribu me ba ji ba de si wa se what is it
So towards the page of bottom of page 124, we have a passage quoted from Praise of Infinite Qualities. And what is stated in that text, as Geshe explained, is that in the case of ordinary giving that we find ourselves engaged in, we make a lot of differentiations in terms of giving, right? Who to give, and we expect something in result. So result is calculated into our giving, and wherever there's a better result of the outcome, and then we said, okay, I'm going to make a gift to the gurus, Buddha, Bodhisattvas, parents, and the benefactors, and less to the people who are destitute in need of help, because we know it's not completely useless to give. There's some return, but the return is low. So with that kind of a calculated mind set, our giving compared to Bodhisattva's giving becomes an inferior giving. Because we give out of a base motive, right? There is some kind of calculation goes into our gift giving. So in that sense, compared to Bodhisattva's giving, our giving yields no return. It's just like the one who is giving, the one who is receiving the gift, they're about the same thing, on the same level, right? Compared to the Bodhisattvas, where there's unconditional giving, right, there's so much return, which is also dedicated towards sentient beings. This kind of a giving with this ordinary, like a mindset, sort of selfish motive, it almost yields no return. So it's just like the gift giver and gift receiver are on the same state. There's not much differentiation.
Okay, that Chile took J long Jimba Shela shoes is on the that conje. Said the other late on what they know in Namil in the day don't dig this. And the Sanjus about yes, it's okay. In the day, Hills and the mother of Shet could have you can pay out some of Konatani, and it was Jibatan, but Jibet Nami called Pamina action or Tietanza. So that this so no shook Shabasagava. So shook Shabasagris, that was it. So the Jewish Jimbadan, Changes of Jibaning is the Kevin the Hill and division.
No. So the bottom line is that there is a big difference between Bodhisattva's giving, unconditional giving, and our ordinary gift giving. Our giving is conditional, calculated to some extent, and we do get some return of the result, but compared to Bodhisattvas, it is really not much, And because our giving is preconditioned on what we expect in return, the ripening result, right? We call coming out of the giving. But Bodhisattvas are totally unconcerned with that. They give out of wish to benefit others, right? Their whole focus is altruistic and other-oriented in the focus, and nothing for themselves. So therefore, there's a big difference between those two types of giving, and Bodhisattva's giving become tremendously, meritorious action and practice.
Oh dear, that in Bangway, that digger the young Sammy Bangway, some Bangway, the somebody Bangobala, Dangy Chongzi, Sabe, Samba Meba, Jimbal and Jumedo Nyambata. Nizi Jimbe, choose your Nyambatan. Any Gyeltsen the trashy tongue Jade, Jimbatan. Jimba Zova and Jide the Jiden Leve, Shakti Dinjor Yamni, Mijimba, so that the Jimbaton Kulum, the Desi Donjo Morris, Rotawang Pigay, Sambe, and Jimba and Juba Ayumo, Tesun Sayan, young, but near this Sambe Jimbo, called by Jen and Gogota and Chalada with the Colnea, two sort of payment of the Colura. And teacher Junior Madame, Geshe that he said it another sending the Marbe, should have Geshe, or the day Tonda Janet Yamada. Then Jimbazo was didn't be so the Topser Molo, Bosa Molo, Zordo, some, or did Sambat on your Maris. Jibako Yanajima, Jibajo Posea Yomara.
So at the bottom of page 124, under the caption, what kind of motivation must be eliminated, gotten rid of? The first one is called a motivation that believes in the supremacy of bad views. In other words, the wrong thinking, right? When we engage in giving, we should see that none of this kind of a mindset pops up because which spoils the giving. Such as, we kind of doubt about, is there a result in giving or gift or not, right? Thinking about the result itself, right? Is there or isn't there that kind of a concern? Or that we give out of some kind of a harmful hidden agenda, right? Sometimes it looks like we are generous, we give a gift, but actually the gift is meant to harm the person, right? Not to help the person, right? So that's a very harmful giving. Or that, we want... all the good things, success and everything in this life, right? So, and with that kind of attitude or a mindset we give. Or even thinking about that, well, this giving will help me to transcend the mundane affairs of life, and then I become like a super mundane, whatever, right? So all this kind of mental calculations, so all such attitudes should be eliminated in our gift giving. Just give out of pure heart to give, right?
Oh, that Bongo dish, that King Bessamba may have any long ball and never the Hill and Jembatan. Chin in the dark and Tombo in Geshe. Shen the Titaman, no, she loans a miserable. There are King was in the dark, so that she will in the Geshe. In the long ball, they got that over call it near Jushin and begin Tongu Shiajora. Geshe. Hill and Jembat, young Shendak with Jimatonga Shenasi, could get down to Tongos and Chakato, Tongos and Jezim Tonga. In the case of China, Dan Tombu Inji, Hen the Mine, Lonzo Shota, Pesoso Betombu Shivi because she got done eating that I had that Tombu Yomar Sanso, but Nego Lonzo Senior Marisa.
And then on top of page 125, the second motivation attitude that we should get rid of in giving is called, ego or the arrogance, right? And so when we are giving gift to the destitute and needy ones, we should check with our, sense of arrogance, right? If we think like, I'm really, right, I'm this great person, whatever, and this looks, belittle and look down upon the downtrodden, and with that attitude gift giving, then that giving is not a proper giving, or that, we engage in giving out of sense of competitiveness, because other people are doing it, right? So I just want to beat them in the competition sort of thing. So I want to give giving. Or we somehow indulge in this kind of ego thing, like, wow, is there any other person as generous as I am the one in the world, right, who's giving a lot of gift giving? So these attitudes, motivations must be gotten rid of in our gift giving.
That you can't do the leg number of leg development knowledge. So the Jibaton is a Senajan made up by Gigi. Teacher, the Kodogeni, Yawandu, Jimbala, Jebasumbaton, sitting that so Jibaton, you to get it up, Koran Petam Sena to Yoshe. Sena Yuvagan in the long about that diamond junior in the Yungua. Direction in Kodo Sagas of Shady. Direction any call in long about Karsa, there is what. Senajan Medeba Shijin said, Tishitumda, cause today Karsa, Jibaton, Simsi Joe alone, and called Yabuto Machina, and called Madib, Shenda, Madib Jiggies. Till then, that Shenda Joe alone, then in the contract, in the Yawadogua, said the Jibaton Payum maybe, and Yawando, you'll do this with a Rajada, Teresha. Bulu Yabuton, that Dorix dinner, Bulu Lake, the Chagris.
So in the sutra called Purification of Karmic Obscurations, cited on page 125. It's mentioned that if we don't, engage in giving out of pure motivation, our giving might be contaminated by other negative attitudes. So instead of becoming a cause for positive outcome, it might actually lead us to negative states of rebirth. And how could that be? You ask. In the first place, in ordinary giving, oftentimes, stinginess or miserliness is somehow attached with the gift giving. So, and that's something we have to be mindful of and think about. And then, in our gift giving, if the recipients behave nicely, maybe we don't have this problem, but the recipients might sometimes show their attitude, right? Behave what we consider as unruly. And now we have a chance to get mad with them, right? How ungrateful and, rascal you are here, kind of thing. Well, so now that spoils the whole gift giving, right? So giving is supposed to be a positive action leading to positive outcome. Now we are gift giving out of stinginess, giving out of that is contaminated by anger, right? And so that those things can throw us into unfortunate states of rebirth. So we have to watch out those negativities.
That citizen, citizen say, Sushela Mania, my you won't make up a shaking. Mother being under tone, Subala so Nena. Titaki, Medishola, Nevala, say, Mingaba Jebe, say, Mingaba Jebe, Cirula Soba, Dribble, share those, did a gajet, so to be that Citizen Gashina. Citizen that Gaget Citizen were Sushi did a Duja de Yungura. It's the called Duja Actions. So what did it mean on any Sheda did a Sheda, any Sheda to get social Melkata and Madev Jagres, the Madev Yanusu the yard over this. In Savaguna Jivara, Savagunju Gome, a copy of Consul to Koduja or so to it. She didn't that did it shame of the Regiora, that Chimas use or shower or Tishu.
So in the Sutra on Purification of Karmic Obscurations, with regard to gift giving, states further that you could be, or we could be, the gift giver could be abiding on pure ethics, let's say. And but then you see the others really not keeping their ethics intact, and then you started to make that as your business and talk about it. I'm a really ethical person, but here are the dodos, who break the ethics, and then we just badmouth that. Then that can create a hostile, atmosphere. And that might, other people might lose faith in you, right? They think like, how could you be sort of like a practitioner, but that's bad-mouthing all other people, right? The only good person seems to be you, right? The rest are like dodos here. And so that can, so we are conditioning others to generate some negative thought. And the same thing with the practice of patience, right? Maybe we could be practicing patience well, but then at the same time, we always kind of started to criticize others, like who are not practicing patience. Like, wow, they are so impatient and angry people, and then that creates bad vibe and atmosphere, and then people will not like that. Something coming out of a practitioner's mouth and things like that. So we have to be very careful with such things.
Oh, dear, that goes a piggy of teacher that make. Customers catch you don't go till me Yazimaro, but that is a shower, share the shower. But that thing is that did Michigan, that you net I ever shall catch you to cheer you. Third, the Logic, the do Manzilla, draw your nation, Hen of Jang, Tomo Gurua, your London solar, Nazi, Niji, Jeva, Yevashun. Sung Geshe Bataro, say, or this is what I call it. Kachu told the leadership, then you social Karsa, in the bay, Yondeshe or to look, the next and Majishi, and the Devas and Majishi. And draw your name, simply head out your children in a bed, channel the Yakuris, that you didn't let you in a quote on the degree or tell ya sing to show this. and so the John Chung Chung Jimena, that's all the Alta John did years, or the John the chamber singing, Mundi Shinia, Mother Song, like Lagland or the target.
Sure. So we have a passage quoted from Praise of Infinite Qualities, which teaches us that we should learn to cultivate a sense of appreciation of others' goodness, right? Others' goodness may be insignificant, right? But, praise them, appreciate, express your appreciation, make them feel good, encourage them to do more, right? Instead of bad-mouthing others, and that's creating a negative environment, atmosphere. And if we look at ourselves, maybe our fault or deficiency is kind of insignificant, negativity. But then we should know that, because I'm not a perfect person, right? I'm a flawed person, and that should help us to stay very humble, that we don't, engage in the egoistical kind of a thinking, like I'm the person, right, above everybody else kind of a thing. Because I got a lot of problems too, right? And so even the little a weakness, a negative thing that we find in ourselves should be a basis for us to cultivate humility and humbleness and learn to appreciate others' goodness and try to look at one's own weakness and problem and work with it.
What did that? Did it somebody shave it down? That temper somebody, somebody bong temper somebody maybe. Ninja won't the rain. That's because you don't get a shadow. Or did somebody don't your Morris? Shumbe Sambe Karasa. Jimba member was Shumbe Samba member. They won't young ye gaje. Jimbe says the Tonga Shela, Tonga Shela. Chin for a Tonga Shela. Chin young, Juba member, the Chansim Jimba Hindu Jasha on the Munang Yishima Majing. Yishimba Majing. Shimba Michi Jing Dala, Chin Sever, Michi Bar, drop was a data today, Conje. But Yenda didn't it today, but on your Maris Silva. That should be done at the Joe, don't talk Maris, the days of to be able to get Tiashi Maris, Terry Moon and big in Jima Maton, that gas is big draw the beginning. Don't go and shook Shimbu your share. And the calculated than anything big. Can you Sabatam you shook to be money machine and tongue is or Chini that is Jibe say, Tonga la Geshe, Tonga the Gabunga, got the piggish and the Gabunga is that's Chin give up a said about that kind of days out. He's on the days, he's telling a lot of Sadio or did give up a share. That's how you might hit the Geshe to the lad, big Chide in the marriage. That's how you see with the Geshe when you did to Nana Tina, he were remain love with those number simply give so.
So we are on page 125 in the middle. We are still talking about what kind of motivation attitudes that we should eliminate or get rid of. The number 3 says, literal translation, I suppose, a motivation for support. So the explanation given is very clear on this, which is we must not give, in order to become very famous and gain some kind of a fame and reputation, right? We should not have that kind of attitude or motivation. Number 4, a motivation of discouragement. Right from the beginning, we should cultivate the joy to give, the wish to give. And then when we actually get opportunity to give, then those joy and enthusiasm should be brought, on the surface of the mind and give, right? But then once we have given, we should not have any regret. Sometimes we might think like, I shouldn't have given that much, Well, next time be careful, that was a little too much. No, don't have that kind of a regret. Or when we look at the Bodhisattvas giving, it is so amazing, kind of unthinkable, and we might feel discouraged, like, well, I can't do it at all. I just can't, But you should cultivate the positive side. Yeah, I can't do it right now, but I hope I can do it someday, and I want to at least try to walk in the same direction of Bodhisattvas giving. So we should inspire ourselves. Don't get discouraged and don't regret after gift giving. And we will stop there today, and we welcome your questions now.
This is a very elementary question,
Sure.
but through the oh man, this is really overwhelming for me. This whole thing. There's no
Okay.
fooling, My goodness, but though you still have these thoughts of premeditated
Right.
or things,
Right.
do you keep practicing this, knowing that in
Yeah.
the back of your mind you're
Right.
still like wanting something from the gift
Right.
or from the
Right.
through doing this over and over and telling yourself that it should not be like this,
But you
Is-
still continue giving, right?
but still continue giving. One day it's just so overwhelming to me,
Sure.
honestly.
No.
Through the practice of giving
Uh-huh.
and thinking about why you're truly giving,
Right.
is that how you
Sure.
get rid of that?
Sure. Okay. I think I understood you. Thank you.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
gosh, it's
Yeah.
so overwhelming for me.
Wow.
This whole discussion.
Yes. Kurangi da dishugudu da tiringi da karsokore chimbe korsung borwagen. Sedagi sabshin tode gyatsun bushuja Kuran raw chin wona samla na mhachu bero shung song sarwagen. Chite kanla ta ena nganzo ra cha ina an namju chi chimba tan de kanla ko kari ne da kulong mada ba da mada shung borwagen. Chimbe debula re de gan ko rangsing le ing borwa sagen. ine ko le ing yewa ine ta da mutu ne chimba tan de ke chimba cha de sarwagen. Ta so samra ya ta dikazan de dikta ya ma de ne ta jinde chiju ya ma re samge ro ko kale chene ane ko di kaso samba di wang de julto ba da samba cha ru ko ra kan de re sa ro ge
This the Tango Ganga Sim Chung Yung Hidarawa.
na de
That is Chung the Bag was singing Yaga Sidu, Chung the Bag, Hanzo Chung Yung Yaga Bear Version, Tangadia Tawata sale, Sanjay sale, Ribak Money, don't know what they come to go.
na de yeah. Geshe says that's right. At ours, where we are right now, the way we are practicing, I mean, in this case, generosity, it could be very conditional giving, isn't it? And now we are learning that, we should not do that way. And despite that, it's very difficult for us to change overnight. There's no way to do this. But I think we just have to keep practicing it, right? And then slowly, kind of intrapersonal communication, right, within yourself, telling you, not anybody else. That's called intra, right, within you. I should really work on that motivational level, right? I should not expect anything in return, or I should not let myself be ego involved in this. Slowly, right? We hope to make incremental positive changes, and this is how we progress, right, in our practice path, right? So there's no reason to be discouraged because we couldn't do it now, But you're right; it's kind of a not easy thing to do, right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
This is kind of a general question, not necessarily about this particular teaching, but would it be possible and appropriate if Geshe would think that for us to receive a question at the end of each session, just like my understanding is that this is how it is at the monastery. The topic is introduced and explained, and then the teacher gives a debate question. Now, for us, we would not be debating, but some kind of a question to contemplate during the week and
You mean
to
you want
engage more
to raise a question to contemplate? That's
yes,
what you mean. Okay, sure.
so that for us to engage more
Sure.
deeply and actively in the.
Sure. Yeah. Kuna kandi shue di tanda mixe di chimbe pajin kota ke me sarwa ge. Kuna sambali ya bana tanga zo kombai na karso gore ta chure na chure da mungu shu jo ro ge. Samu tang ko ro ge. Adi chure ro bchin ta di dinde na na digi na me na ko lap tu me to sarwa ge. Digi yo ba ina nganzo sungju ge shu da ro ge. Zam di ya gengi kuna zo ya da ji nang jong so ro ge. Samu tang ya shi de tiwa ro de ro ge. Rest dinde na tu ge na me di digi na me na sarwa ge. Ta chi sa pa lo samu tang ko ni ko ro ge. Ta ben tin ro chimbe nyam lem ko lo samu tang ko ro ni ro ge. Ile sig me ro.
That the big second Karsa Chivasota, Telo Karsa, Nina Tanga Karsadi, Sheve de Cheva Chilin She. This is the dark candidate for the rope so the law council, Karakanzo Hero. On the today, they go up against someone on the big second, the Karsata. Cheva that in the day jungle and cigarette.
La ro de again some nan digi na me so.
Today they should candidate with Mahizata Sogova.
Geshe said, he will think about it, and he said, what we have been doing here is, after his teaching, we spend a little bit of time, right, for question, answer, observation. So this helps us to think, right, our thoughts. So his assumption that when we go home, we have something to think about anyway, right? We have a lot of discussion things about. But he will think about, right, if there are days he could, give some kind of questions to think. Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions? If not, I think we will probably stop there and prayer request from here. Can the Jim to church? Then again, Renagi Rawage. Mola da lo Kuchukonga Simbadonga. That's Zadagi, Mangana Chen, Tapiche, Miss Chagi Samaragain. I think it's Tibian of Chadwage. The two men of Jonaronasa. Mola Mingla Ya did a second. Makori Hisarwage. And Bazazin Sigma, Mola Mingla, Dicham Jonaronasa. So we have a prayer request from our Rena, whose grandma is in ICU. And has massive stroke, and so her condition is very critical, and she requests prayer. I hope I say your mom's name right, grandma's name right. Makrohi Bazazin, that's how you say it. Okay, hopefully. So it's Armenian name. It's a tongue twister for me. So let's think about her and others in similar conditions, and we pray for them. Chadong Golun Yuben, Yavodon, Jendon, Gaba Sambu, Sanjeton, Kala Kondu, Tela, Tetomba, Zomba Chene, Sela, Chanzen, Oman, Beme, 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 Oman, Omane beme ore gewandi nyodo da chere sewan rogyone rowa chigya mar te sala gobar jo gange lode dimnye denda nyenda namda razeve shinye dungo jije seje nye tuga lebamze kanda seve zara mendon donge jezeve rozo kunla buje taze yanla roje yan roda zero nyomo nyelo leje chado dreze mare meze donge Yene daze saju daze yende lunso geze tuwe go yuda yuda jeni jambe yangla je omara badana Omara badana de zende gege jera veze je dalu temu memba rapsene kada teje joro lode bom nawan zendo Lode yaze udon bega de kedan kore chido nembaje dembaje la ondo jisu tanye shogun jala soande Obeisance to my Guru and Protector Manjushri, who holds at his heart a scriptural text, symbolic of his seeing all things as they are, whose intelligence shines forth as the sun, unclouded by delusions or traces of ignorance, who teaches in 60 ways with the loving compassion of Father for his only Son, all creatures caught in the prison of samsara, confused in the darkness of their ignorance, overwhelmed by their suffering. You whose thunder-like proclamation of Dharma arouses us from the stupor of our delusions and free us from the iron chains of our karma, who wields the sword of wisdom, heaving down suffering wherever sprouts appear, clearing away the darkness of ignorance. You who have been pure from the beginning, who have completed the stages achieving the highest perfection of a bodhisattva, whose princely body is adorned with 112 marks of a Buddha, I bow down to you, Manjushri, Om Arabhasanadi. O compassionate one, with the brilliance of your wisdom, illuminate the darkness enclosing my mind. Enlighten my intelligence and wisdom, so that I may gain insight into Buddha's words and the texts that explain them. Like the sweet perfume of white lotus, born in the ocean of knowledge, nourishing honeybees, the fortunate being, your fame pervades all directions. You are proficient and powerful in upholding the precious doctrine. To you, O Lobsang Tenzin Wangda, respectfully I pray.
Nhất tâm kính lễ Đức Văn Thù Sư Lợi, bậc đại trí, Ngài điều phục hai chướng ngại, tựa nhật quan lan tỏa khắp mười phương, bậc thực chứng chân nghĩa màu rốt ráo, từ tim Ngài Bát Nhã Kinh thủ hộ nhiệm màu, cõi luân hồi chúng sanh thọ nghiệp báo, bị ngăn che bởi phiền não vô minh. Cùng đại bi Ngài hóa độ chúng sanh, tựa từ mẫu chăm lo cho quý tử. Tiếng rồng vang Ngài thức tỉnh hữu tình, thoát khỏi vòng luân hồi nghiệp báo. Gươm trí tuệ Ngài chặt đứt vô minh, tận diệt muôn vàn khổ đau cùng ách nạn. Trường tử Như Lai tối thắng toàn giác, Ngài an trụ nơi thập địa pháp vân, báu thân Ngài trang nghiêm thanh tịnh, 112 tướng hạo Như Lai, đê đầu đảnh lễ Đức Văn Thù Sư Lợi, cúi xin Ngài tận diệt ám chướng vô minh. Om Arapasanadi, con khẩn cầu dưới gót sen bậc đại trí, ban pháp lực diệt phiền não vô minh. Được trí sáng con thâm nhập nghĩa màu, pháp vi diệu cùng muôn vàn luận giải. Như diệu hương ngọt ngào từ sen trắng, đàn xanh nơi trí thù thắng đại dương, hàng thiện căn như ong mật thọ nương, hồng danh Ngài khắp mười phương quảng bá, đấng thiện xảo uy dũng bảo tồn pháp bảo vô giá. Nam mô Lobsang Tenzin Wangda, xin cung kính trì niệm.
Chang zhu zhen zhu rinpo che ma ye ba na ye yu je ye wa nyam ba me wa yang kong ne kong pe wa yu to ni da wa rinpo che ma ye ba na ye yu je ye wa nyam ba me wa kong ne kong do pe wa yu sa ye be ye zhu ye me do zhang ri ram lin xie yin de yan ba xian do me de wei wang ye zhou wei nam da xin zhe wai zhong kan ri ra wei guo wei xin gang de pen dang de wa ma lu zhong wei ne xie ri a zi wang din xin jiang zuo ye xia wei si de ba dian yu ân jie ye dang guru ra na man de la ga ni yan ta ya